Hello, today is Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. So we are at the midpoint of October. October will be soon over because Friday is my company's picnic day, or in Chinese, 公司聚会玩儿 we only have 3 days left for this week, and we will go to the mountains. And also, I have to retire in 4 years' time, so I saw a lot of advertisements for international logistics positions by Korean companies. I work for Korea Telecom KT, number one carrier in Korea. So I am keen on learning more about international logistics, so that I could, easily come to decision where the international logistics is a thing that I should go for. So let's learn more about international logistics. This article is from ICC Academy, International Chamber of Commerce, maybe. Try the first lesson of our export-import certificate, EIC free. Okay, so that's the advertisement from ICC Academy. Subscribe now to get immediate access to the first lesson of our best-selling export-import certificate program. Enter your name here, enter your email address here. Okay, I will do it later. So this one is from International Academy. The title is An Introductory Guide to International Logistics. I'm going to read this English article to practice English. I need to constantly read an English article because I am not a native speaker. I am Korean. I work for Korea Telecom KT, the number one carrier in Korea. An introductory guide to international logistics. This guide to international logistics was written for ICC Academy by Louise Wiegert and Helen Scrimgeour from Global Trade Solution, GTS. GTS provide consulting services to the international trade and supply chain community. The views expressed in this article do not necessarily represent the views of ICC or the ICC Academy. What is international logistics? International logistics involves let's see how it goes. International logistics involves planning, implementing, and overseeing the effective storage and transportation of goods through an international supply chain. Okay, so I'll go vertical. While the terms logistics and supply chain are sometimes used interchangeably, it is important to understand that logistics is an element of the overall supply chain. Each of these make up a separate part of the commercial process. Logistics refers to the movement of goods from one point to another. Two distinct functions are involved, namely transportation and warehousing. Okay, transportation and warehousing. The overall supply chain is a network of stakeholders working in a sequence of processes, including international logistics, to produce and distribute goods. Logistics is also concerned with optimizing every process along the supply chain to lower prices, improve services, and boost profits. Without logistics, supply chains would descend into chaos. Logistics ensures that merchandise arrives in the right place at the right time and streamlines every step along the way. The main objective of international logistics is the efficient and cost-effective delivery of goods to consumers in a global marketplace within the agreed timelines. Who does international logistics involve? Many people and functions play a role in the international supply chain. The graphic below summarizes the key stakeholders and their role in the international trade transaction. Here summarizes they use S instead of Z. So I think this article is more of British English, not of American English. Click the image to enlarge. Role players in an international shipment, right? Exporter, natural or legal individual that makes a sale to a foreign country, also known as seller or shipper, right? Seller or shipper, exporter. Natural or legal individual, natural or legal individual. Natural or legal individual. Freight forwarder, plans, coordinates, and monitors all necessary operations for the transport and international freight logistics. Customs agent, natural or legal person authorized to perform the formalities of customs clearance of goods. This involves producing documents required, requesting inspections, paying of necessary duties and taxes, etc. Customs agent. Okay, I thought customs office, right? Natural or legal person authorized to perform the formalities of customs clearance of goods. This involves producing documents required, requesting inspections, paying of necessary duties and taxes, etc. Shipping agent, natural person or legal representatives of the shipping company at a given port, handles administrative tasks and functional tasks related to carrying of merchandise and related documents. Shipping agents, natural person or legal representative of the shipping company at a given port, handles administrative tasks and functional tasks related to carrying of merchandise and related documents. Shipping agent, customs agent. Freight forwarder, carrier, responsible for transporting the container from a specified location to the destination port. Bank, responsible for financial aspect of the international shipment. They offer they offer what? Products and solutions in the field of international business, such as the letter of credit, LC. Importer, natural or legal individual that purchases goods from a foreign country, also known as the buyer, right? Importer, bank, carrier, shipping agent, customs agent, freight forwarder, exporter, freight forwarder, customs agent, shipping agent. Okay. So shipping agent, carrying agent. So big entities are the customs office and the carriers, right? They are big players. So they have customs agent and shipping agents that interface with or liaison with carriers and shipping the customs office. Okay, so that was the good stakeholders picture. International supply chain flow. As mentioned, international logistics is one element of supply chain. To better understand logistics and where it fits in, it is also important to understand the other flows and activities that are involved in an international supply chain. Okay. Product flow, risk flow, financial flow, information flow, documentation flow. Product flow, movement of a product from supplier to customer. Financial flow, flow of funds between customer and supplier as well as third parties. Risk flow, risks. Information flow, communication and coordination with different parties involved in the transaction. Documentation flow, documents required during the international transaction process. Product flow. Product flow describes the movement of physical goods from a supplier all the way to the customer. The process starts with the raw materials, which are then transported to a manufacturer who creates a finished product. From here, the manufacturer will send the goods to a warehouse or other kind of storage facility, and goods then move into the distribution channels for delivery to the end customer. The flow of goods is usually one-directional. However, there are exceptions to this, for instance, where goods are returned. Financial flow. The product flow is supported by the financial flow, whereby money moves along the supply chain from the customer to the supplier. The financial flow is facilitated through payment terms and payment documents. Payment terms and payment documents, right? Payment terms and documents. Yeah, I have an itchy foot, so I was scratching that part. It's more like eczema, right? I don't know why I have eczema on my foot. Financial flow. The product flow is supported by the financial flow, whereby money moves along the supply chain from the customer to the supplier. The financial flow is facilitated. Okay, so it was a mosquito, so that it was itchy. The financial flow is facilitated through payment terms and payment documents. This flow is typically one-directional, but sometimes the finances flow from supplier to customer in the form of a debit. Okay. Seller, buyer, right? Pre-forma invoice, right? Commercial invoice, packaging list, certificate of origin, other, for example, license and permit. Shipping instruction, house, what is it? House, bill of lading, right? Bill of lading, house, what is it? House payroll, house waiter, I don't know. Customs declaration, shipping, then customs declaration, goods receipt, proof of delivery, purchase order, right? Container cleaning, inspection, certification, certificates certificate quota packaging floating. Oh man, this is too much, right? Download image, and I will open it, and I will zoom in. House waybill. What is a house waybill? Container cleaning, inspection, certification, certificate of origin, packaging, palletizing, documentation fees, agency fees, terminal handling, courier costs, finance fees, inland freight, customs clearing fees, duties and taxes, ocean, road, air freight, bunker surcharges, war charges. What is war surcharges? Oh, okay, so if your flight has to move above the Ukraine, then probably you are charged for the war risk, war surcharges, right? Or if you have to route the Ukraine, then obviously the fuel cost will increase. So you have to pay for the war surcharges, security and manifest fees, finance fees, bill of lading, documentation fees, customs clearing fees, duties and taxes, finance fees, agents fees, terminal handling, delivery management, finance fees, unpackaging charges, inspection fees. Well, that's it. I don't know what happened. International information flow. Information flow is critical in all supply chains. The flow of information supports the movement of products and money and is essential to enable planning and execution of key actions in the supply chain. Information flow is multidirectional and flows between suppliers and customers in either direction, as well as between other stakeholders in trade transaction. Each participant in the supply chain needs relevant information to make effective forecasts and operational decisions. This information needs to be accessible, relevant, accurate, timely, and transferable. Accessible, relevant, accurate, timely, and transferable. Supply chain information technologies support a timely, cost-efficient sharing of information between suppliers and manufacturers, intermediaries, logistics services providers, and customers. The graphic below illustrates the flow of information in a supply chain and the key stakeholders involved. So export shipper, exporters bank, insurer, export customs, forwarder, export port, carrier, import port, import customs, importers bank, and insurer, importer, consignees, right? Consignees. Consignment, consignee. Click large to consignee, importer, consignee, recipient of the consignment. So exporter, shipper, exporters, bank, insurer, export customs, forwarder, export port, carrier, import port, import customs, importers, bank, insurer, importer or consignee. Documentation flow. Tracking of documentation within the supply chain is critical to the flow of information and goods. There are many types of documentation that are required for the movement of goods, and all of these play a specific role within the trade transaction. Keeping track of the various documents can be complex and time-consuming. However, the process can be made easier by supply chain management software, which facilitates the creation, flow, and accessibility of important documents and enables visibility amongst stakeholders. Damn. Some examples of documents that are required in international trade are pro forma invoice. It's more like a superficial invoice, right? Pro forma invoice, commercial invoice. So that's the kind of twin of invoice. Pro forma invoice and commercial invoice. Pro forma invoice and commercial invoice. Packing list. Customs declaration manifest. A freight bill. Bill of lading. Terms of sale. Insurance certificate, certificate of origin, export licenses, certificate of origin, insurance certificate, terms of sale, bill of lading. Bill of lading. I like all those terms, man. I like those terms. What the fuck happened? Yeah, sometimes I use expletives just for fun. If you got offended, my bad. The graphic below illustrates the flow of documents in the supply chain and the key stakeholders involved. Click to image, right? I think I same photo maybe with different arrows, right? Risk flow. The flow or transfer of risk of loss or damage to goods is an important concept in the supply chain. ICC's incoterms 2020 rules, the international commercial terms, state when the seller's costs and risks are transferred onto the buyer. Rules for any mode or modes of transport. EXW, X works. Insert named place of delivery. Costs, risks, EXW, FCA, free carrier. Insert named place of delivery, right? Free carrier, X works, right? X works. Free carrier, free carrier. So they load the product onto the truck bed, right? A free carrier. But what is a free carrier though? I understand X works outside of your factory. Free carrier. You select any carrier and we just load the product onto that carrier's truck bed. Free carrier. Carriage paid to. Carriage paid to, right? Carriage paid to. Carriage and insurance paid to. Delivered at place. Insert the name, the place of delivery. Delivered at place. Delivered at place unloaded. TPU, TAP, DDP. delivered, duty paid. FAS. Rules for sea and inland waterway transport, right? This one is rules for any mode or mode of transport. Free alongside ship. Free on board. FOB. Cost and freight. CFR. Cost, insurance, and freight. Seller's obligation. Buyer, yellow color is a buyer's obligation. Green is mixed and shared obligation. Incoterms 2020 certificate, INCO, the only online course on the Incoterms 2020 that is approved by ICC. Why international logistics is so crucial to supply chains. Without international logistics, international trade would not be possible. The international logistics process involves the shipping and fulfillment of finished goods through a global supply chain network. Furthermore, it consists of international transportation and distribution for efficiently delivering goods to end users across the globe. With the ongoing expansion of international trade and with supply chains crossing multiple borders, countries need to ensure that their transport, logistics, connectivity, and trade-related infrastructure is adequate to support these increasingly complex networks. Logistics is one of the most critical factors in the efficiency of supply chain. Without a properly designed transportation flow, the supply chain cannot ensure high value. The implementation of seamless international logistics becomes a key element in meeting customer demands and remaining competitive. Effective logistics involves the supply chain by minimizing waste of both time and materials. A well-designed logistics network may appear effortless, but requires specialist knowledge and skills to achieve a smooth flow. Benefits of effective international logistics: business growth. As businesses grow both regionally and internationally, their dependence on effective logistics increases. No matter the business location or industry, logistics can help with improved efficiency in movement of goods, cutting costs, and increasing profitability. International market opportunities. By working with international logistics centers and using global freight services, global logistics mean more market opportunities. Although there are some differences in consumers' habits from country to country, most e-commerce businesses can sell their products worldwide with small alterations to the products or no changes at all. Cost reduction. Moving stages of the supply chain to other countries can be a financial advantage. Sometimes a resource is not available locally or is cheaper when sourced internationally. Relocating production activities to a more cost-effective location is a common practice. I think it is a common practice, or just common, is just non-countable now, is common practice, enabling companies to invest in other areas such as innovative technologies. International logistics is the backbone which makes these international sourcing and production strategies possible. Value to customers. Logistics center creates and increases the value that businesses offer by ensuring the availability of products. To provide more value, Businesses either work on improving their own logistics activities or rely on professionals. Better logistics makes products more available to a wider group of people. Efficient product library delivery. In today's fast paced marketplace, delivery time expectations are becoming shorter. Logistics is essential to maintaining distribution networks and the timely and safe transportation of goods to meet customer demand. The different components of international logistics, handling of goods. Due care needs to be taken to ensure that goods are not damaged or are otherwise compromised during their journey to the customer. Any written instructions provided by the consignor relating to the handling of goods also need to be taken into account and adhered to, right? Consignor, customs clearance. Foreign goods imported into a country must be processed through a customs agency or authority. It is important that customs procedures are followed correctly to avoid delays and penalties. To this end, importers may make use of the services of a customs broker to act as its agent in the clearance process. Track and trace. Visibility of goods along the supply chain helps with the planning as well as for contingency arrangements in the event of delays. Carriers typically provide some kind of track and trace functionality via online inquiry tool providing real-time information. Confirmation and payment. Confirmation of receipt of goods is also an important aspect of international logistics, as this will inform the seller that the product has been provided by the customer and the billing and payment process can commence. Demand planning. To guarantee customer order fulfillment, demand planning is an essential logistics function. By ordering merchandise in the correct quantities and at the right place at the right price and mobilizing suitable transport, customer demand is met and profits protected. Storage and warehousing. The role of warehousing in supply chain is to ensure that there is a place to store products supplied by a manufacturer so that these are ready to ship to a customer on demand. Manufacturers tend to supply products at a predictable and steady pace, while customers tend to order goods in a more erratic and generally unpredictable manner. Storing surplus goods in an easily accessible warehouse ensures that customer demand can generally be met. Packaging and unitization. Products are usually presented in some form of a packaging, which serves as a means of identification and information, as well as protection. Unitization involves consolidating different shapes and sizes of products to try to pack them as closely as possible into cube shape, as this is an easy shape to move and store. So that's unitizing. Let me read it one more time. Unitizing involves consolidating different shapes and sizes of products to try to pack them as closely as possible into cube shape, as this is an easy shape to move and store. Inventory and inventory management, right? Inventory is a term, right? Inventory is a term to describe the stock of products in a warehouses. Involves understanding Inventory is a term to describe the stock of products in a warehouse and involves understanding what stock is being held, how much, and where it is located. Inventory also controls the flow of goods into and out of the warehouse. Inventory management attempts to predict the amount and type of goods that will be ordered by consumers and controls the movement of goods in and out of a warehouse. It is a useful tool for the flow of goods in the supply chain, logistics networks. Service efficiency is achieved, right? Service efficiency is achieved by careful design of logistics networks, optimizing routes between the different locations comprising the supply chain, such as between manufacturers, warehouses, service providers, and the consumer. Transportation. Transportation is a key element of logistics, facilitating the movement of goods from one area of supply chain to another. It can involve multiple modes of transport, such as trucks and other road vehicles, freight trains, containerized shipping, airplanes, road, rail, sea, and air. Road, rail, sea, and air. Another aspect of transportation involves consolidation, the process by which shipping companies combine several smaller orders into one shipment, thus speeding up overall delivery times whilst controlling costs. See here, whilst is used by British guys. Information and control. International logistics is a complex operational procedure that requires a lot of precise information to be effective. Forecasting demand, transportation times, and the inventory are crucial to keeping the operations to a tight time scale. Reverse logistics. In addition to distributing products to the end customer, an important part of international logistics involves reuse or the correct disposal of products and materials. It is known as reverse logistics, and the process flow is in the opposite direction to handle excess or used merchandise in a sustainable manner. Reverse logistics. Let me read it one more time, man. In addition to distributing products to the end customer, an important part of international logistics involves reuse or the correct disposal of products and materials. It is known as reverse logistics, right? Reverse logistics, singular noun. And the process flow is in the opposite direction to handle excess or used merchandise in a suitable manner. Key challenges of international logistics. The worldwide response to the COVID-19 pandemic saw the implementation of a number of regulatory measures which affected global trade, with trade compliance particularly affected. For example, countries implemented restrictions and controls around the import and export goods to reduce the movement of cargo and people across borders, all in a measure to protect their populations from the spread of the virus. Certain kinds of goods were also subject to new export and import controls. For example, medical supplies, face masks, hand sanitizer, etc. Over time, some of these were removed and minimized, while others remained in place. Some examples of measures implemented in response to the pandemic in an attempt to boost the local business: Botswana implemented a ban on the import of face masks encouraging local manufacturers to produce these locally. Exports in certain countries were controlled to ensure that a country did not run out of essential supplies. Namibia required that imported hand sanitizer comply with specific standards. In addition to specific controls and measures on goods, countries also sought to enhance their digital solutions to minimize human contact. This included making use of online platforms for management of client queries and implementing improved functionality in online customs management systems. Other measures included utilization of non-intrusive inspection requirements. Man, I'm running short of time, so I was reading the last part of this article while walking to my office. So this article is quite informational. I understand ICC is a good organization, International Chamber of Commerce. They did a good job of producing this article. It's quite informational. Maybe later I will come back to this article one more time to read it for you and me in a more relaxed manner. But this article was good. Unitization, right? incoterms. They are all important. Thanks for listening and have a wonderful Tuesday wherever you are, and be nice to each other. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.